Clifton of Band of the Beatmakers, shouting out Fam TV. Check them out on YouTube.
You're watching Fam TV.
You're watching Fam TV.
I want 25%. If you don't have 25% to pay me in time, do not come. I guarantee you will go to heaven. The first month of this church, I'm going to buy a shiny shoes made from alligator skin. Our only people giving Jesus money and God money. God don't want the money. Jesus dead so much years, we don't want the money. But the Creator would like me to use the money to become sociable wealthy. Because we cannot be capitalists. So when we make money, because it's spiritual, we have to build, seriously build education. And I don't talk about schooling, because someone will go to the TDSB and the other school. And just so I make it clear, they pay my mortgage, the Tricky District School Board. If you take me and say this, I'm going to say it's not me. You can't take your children out of your school. Malcolm X said that only a fool send their children to the enemy, to be miseducated. And so all of the stuff that we've been doing is upside down. So money is not even the acrylic. All of them in here do some exchange before they leave. Money is not that. Some of you are doctors with a PhD upside down, where the community give you a PhD. Some of you are accountants of accounting. Before you leave here today, know what each other do, because that exchange is also currency.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? This is deep. So, I go way back 1,000,000 years old, from way time, before any religion was even thought about. So because we go way back, and we're going way into the future, we have a young man. He just went to Ghana. I saw him in some pretty kente clothes. His name is Versetti of the Quentin. He's going from there to here. So I want you to put your hands come together and give Quentin Versetti. He's going to talk to you a few minutes. So you got to connect with the people doing the work on the ground. We brought the elder here to give you some energy. You already have people here who teach you everything the elder is teaching. You need to connect with the people here as well. Because sometimes we don't understand the gravity of our situation. We had war. So this young man is a young warrior. We unleash this young warrior and we send him back to the mother. And I know he's got some powerful things for you. So you got to make some noise. Drummers, give me some drums. Make some noise for the young warrior.
So I'm going to be speaking really quickly on a couple topics and ideas that some of you might be familiar with, but you may have not been familiar with the terms.
No, the elders.
So the Afrofuturism of Africa with an X and Sankofa, speculating and reclaiming the X variables in our essence through the technology of our ancestors. It sounds complex, but I promise you it's not. So, let's go to the next one. So the first thing is, what is Afrofuturism? Sometimes, currently that word is being thrown out a lot. A lot of people are using this term. And in a nutshell, this is the definition that you'll find on Wikipedia. But essentially it's a thinking and use of African culture, African people, traditions, morals, in a futuristic sense. So in a futuristic context. But this definition that you see here on the screen came from Wikipedia. And that was kind of developed from a white male named Mark Derry. And in his ignorance, he wasn't considerate of all the different ways that Afrofuturism is more than just aesthetic, but more of a tool for resiliency. So in my travels to South Africa, to Zimbabwe, and to Ghana, and to Egypt, I started to understand, and also around the Caribbean, I started to understand and see these correlations between our people. I started to see how we were all interconnected. And I realized a lot of the tools that we use overlap and they complement each other. So through Afrofuturism, I realized that the aesthetic is not as important as the tool of Afrofuturism. There's a saying that without a vision, the people perish. And Afrofuturism is a way for us to look forward to the future, but recognize that we are informed by the past and by the work of our ancestors. So today I want to let you guys know that Afrofuturism is not just science fiction. It's not just science fiction based. It's not just about traveling through space and time and aliens and things like that. It is a premeditation, a pre-manifestation, and a speculation on how African people can use our own technology and our Africanness and have it function and be present in the universe outside of our epoch and our epicene, meaning outside of our era and outside of our current understanding. You can go to the next slide. So then the next question is, what is Sankofa? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about the bird Sankofa, but a lot of people don't know about this Sankofa, the Dua, the spiritual Sankofa, and that is dealing with looking internally and bringing it externally. In Ghana, they related to forgiveness, but they also related to looking within one's spirit. And in this context of Afrofuturism, I'm asking people to look within the Africa within themselves. The Africa that is reborn within you, the Africa with an X, which I will define in a minute. So, Africa with an X. I'm going to go to the next slide. So Africa with an X is a Marcus Garvey and Rastafarian inspired concept that refers to a spiritual space. It is kind of like an internet for us, people who carry a certain concentration of melanin, for us who were born and descendants of the continent. But it is an X variable that is important that I really want to emphasize on. See, this X variable allows African people, or African people, to communicate and interact in unexplainable ways with the beings of the past, present, and the future. It is essentially an internal social media and internet for us to be able to have access to ancient wisdoms and knowledge. So an example of this is the Dogon people in Mali. They first were able to make constellations and find planets in other galaxies before anybody else. A planet called Sirius what? Boom, way before everybody else. How did they do that? They tapped into the ancient space of Africa with an X, an unknown variable. The pyramids that don't just exist in Egypt, but also where? Also where? Also where? Everywhere our people been. And they all carry the same ancient knowledge without having the internet, because the internet was internal. So the next question is, what is African people with an X? And that is a pseudo-scientific term which basically refers to all those who are in this room and we who have access to this internal space, this spiritual, metaphysical space. And this space allows us to tap into the things like rhythm, music, and all these different technologies our ancestors created for us to embed messages and to embed our values and our morals. And pretty much our ancestors' Bible, basic understanding before we leave Earth. You guys might hear me.
Yes, I hear.
So, you might ask, why are these manifestations and why are these ideologies important? Because as African people, as we tap into that space of Africa, we are also tapping into the future. We are also planting seeds, and we're also being in connection and being in union with our purpose here on earth. What happened with colonization is that we were disconnected from that space, and we need to reclaim that space if we want to make things better for not only us right now, but also for our generation after us. So Afrofuturism is asking us to tap into the Sankophonology. That's another new word that you guys might have never heard, Sankophonology. So this knowledge is something I was able to retain from a Zulu priest who was also a Sangoma. And if you guys know anything about Sangomas, you know they're serious people. Now, this priest, I'm not authorized to utter his name because it's sacred, but he also followed in the Melchizedek order. And he's the one who gave me this knowledge of Africa and he told me to run with it. And he blessed me with this knowledge. And it took me years to really allow it to manifest into my consciousness and into my work. So if you just want to go into the next. So, one of the things that he made me realize was the idea of technology. Because Africa is the birthplace of humanity and everything that we create is technology of our spirit. And oftentimes we forget what technology means. Technology is an expansion of one's body. So anything that we do is expansion of our spirit. So our body is a vehicle. It is technology that was created by our ancestors. Are you guys hearing me? So part of being African is recognizing the technology that we are equipped with. Hence our melanin. What does our melanin do? What does our melanin do? It protects us. It allows us to absorb energy from nature and all these many other things. And it also allows us to travel through space and time. When you talk about African time, that's because we're moving through portals, we're moving through dimensions. And I'm not just talking science fiction, this is real things. So once again, if we're talking what is an African, and what is people who are able to bend time, you start thinking about the present day examples of Usain Bolt. They said the way that he was able to move so quickly is almost inhuman. Because his body is a vehicle, he recognized that, and the energy bound up inside of him is allowing to use him in a certain manner, in a certain form. We think of people like, there's so many examples, Miss Beal Obal, Gabrielle Obal, the young lady who won the Olympics, and she did the 360 triple flip in the air. And they said that she defied gravity. That no one has ever done these things before. And there's so many countless examples of many feats that we have done with great inventors, great athletes, etc., etc. And that is because many of these people have learned how to tap into into their Africanness and into their African space. So if you want to go to the next slide. So we're now going to talk about artist technology. Because myself, I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a professor, I'm not an academic, I'm an artist. And I realize art is a way that we can tap into that space. For me, if you want to go to the next slide, I try to explore this idea of Africa with an X by showing different representations of how our cultures intersect. Also collage images together from different time periods. And anybody can look at this and say, yo, this reminds me of this place and this place and this place. And that's because I'm taking inspiration from many other places I traveled to, and I'm forming it together to tell a narrative of how we're all connected. Because there's so many devices out there right now that wants us to be divided. And art, as you can see with the drums, as you can see with music, as you can see with so many different things, brings us, our people together. Because a lot of these things that separate us are fabricated. Once again, we're talking about colonization and the influence of it. So in my work, I look at things like sculpture and how we use sculptures as a form of technology to spread messages about the heroes and the leaders and the different people who have made contribution to our society. I use patterns because that is an essential thing in regards to our Africanness. Because one of the aspects of Africans are the use of fractals. And now I'm getting really scientific and mathematical. Fractals, if people, does anyone, for show of hands, who knows what fractals are? So, boom, enough people don't know. So, alright, we're not asleep.
Definition.
So, fractals, before I bore anyone, fractals is key essential to our people. It shows up in every aspect of our life, whether you like it or not. It is, by definition, a self-repeating pattern to itself. Repeat. It is a self-repeating pattern to itself. So why is this important? If you look at your hair, look at your hair. It contains fractals which allows it to spiral. We can call it kink, nappiness, etc. But this is essential because it represents DNA. It also represents a spiral that the universe. Are you guys catching on? Alright, now let me give you another example of fractals. Does anyone know how melanin works? How these cells reproduce? They have a very specific vibration that repeats upon itself. And every time you get vitamin D, which comes from the sun, UV rays, it repeats upon itself and allows us to have these pigmentations, which prevents us from burning up, cracking up, and all of things, but allows us to move through time and space in a certain manner. Another way fractals work in society and art is the way we, in ancient times, the way we built our societies. Not just pyramids, but also villages. And you can look up on Google and you look up on YouTube about African fractals. Many of our villages were built in the shape of fractals, where one compound is representation of the larger village, which is representation of the spiritual village. Another example of that is the way they built the pyramids. A pyramid consists of smaller pyramids and is built upwards. So once again, fractals are a very important thing for our people, but it also shows up in art, in our textiles, in the animals who live on the continent. So in my art, I try to show these fractals as much as I can, especially when we, for example, in this art piece, hairstyling. You know what I mean? When you have to cut your hair, you have to follow a very certain specific rhythm. So you're following a fractal. Drum patterns are fractals. Music are fractals, etc., etc. If you can go to the next slide. So once again, my work is taking these ideas and showing how it can exist in the future. Because we need to think forward. Forward never is backwards never, you see it? So these are images that I took from Ghana, and also images that I took from Haiti, images that I took from Cuba, images that I took from Jamaica, also from when I went to Belize, to Mexico. And I'm just taking all these different images of our people doing different things, and once again showing it in a futuristic sense. Because one of the things I didn't mention earlier is the breakdown of Africa with an X. So there's Africa with a C, which represents a geographical and historical place. There's Africa with a K, which represents a mind state. So Africa with an X represents a spiritual state. And I'm showing that this spiritual state is not only restricted to planet Earth. Anywhere we travel in the galaxy, this space will travel with us. This space will exist on other planets, because it seems like that's where we're moving. It's like we're moving to go to Mars soon, whatever. But no matter where we go, that sense of our ancestors, that spiritual space, will also travel with us. So now, if you want to go to the next slide. The reason why I'm telling all this is because I want us to start thinking about how can we reclaim your African space. How can you reclaim that unknown variable, that X? Oftentimes people who follow the Nation of Islam, people who are 5%ers, you often see them use X at the end of the name, like Malcolm X. And that is an act of reclaiming this space. It's an act of acknowledging that we need to return to this space and have it be reborn within us. So, simple 3 ways of reclaiming your X, whether you're an artist or not, just as a human being, just as a person on this earth, is finding your organic technology, finding your fractals. And that goes down from community ciphers like this, because when 2 or more are gathered, more will come. Right? So that's a fractal, that's a pattern repeating upon itself. So obviously we need to do more events like this, right? And it'll grow. Music and dancing, we already seen an example of that. One person start dancing, the next person is going to feel the vibe naturally. An organic thing. Organic food and vegetation. Do I have to emphasize why is that important? Do I need to emphasize why food and vegetation is important for our people? And how colonization was not about the people, but about taking the land. You guys understand that, right? by disconnecting the people to the land, they lose their power. You understand that? So it's now reclaiming that X, the unknown variable is reclaiming that land, right? Reclaiming space. Hair care. You have a mind what you're putting in your head. You have a mind. Whole heap of chemicals and things like that. They want to brainwash you. They want to take over your powers. They want to take you to be their slaves. Not just enslaved, but to be their slaves. So you have a mind what you're putting in your head. Hair care. Important things. Also, visual arts and design. It allows us to express ourselves in different ways. That even relates not just to drawing and painting, but also the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, right? You express yourself, you're telling a message. One of the things I learned when I was in Kumasi and I went to the palace, I learned that every Kente class tells a story. Every pattern, every color tells a story. And once again, these are the technologies of our ancestors and they want us to use it. It's their Bible for us, our basic understanding before we leave Earth. So the next point is study your people from your people. And obviously you all know that because we're here right? Today, right? We're learning from Professor Small. And from studying from your people, about your people, you're going to be able to take that knowledge and pass it on to the next generation. You're going to be able to use it and create your own technology to embed this Bible concept and pass it on to the next generation. And the last one is meditate, pray, vibrate higher. Once again, we're thinking about melanin, we're thinking about cells. They all have a certain percentage of vibration, they all move on vibes. You know, you hear people talking about hold the vibes, the meds. These are important things. And once again, what we're talking about, these things are important to our people. It doesn't matter what your spiritual religious practice is. All these things are about vibration. All these things are about meditation. When you pray, you're sending a certain vibration into the universe. When you hum, when you sing, you're sending a certain type of vibration into the universe. So you have to find what fits you, it fits your ideology, and fits you as a human being, and vibrate higher. And all these things are Afrofuturistic, because the concept of Sankofa returning to a place and moving forward is Afrofuturism. And I encourage you, as you move forward today, think about how can you find these fractals, how can you find these technologies, and be Afrofuturistic yourself, and pass it on to the next generation. Give thanks. And then the last slide is, one thing I didn't mention is that I'm the co-founder of the Black Speculative Arts Movement here in Canada. And we are having a big conference in Montreal in August and another one in October. And I'd love for you guys to follow up with us and, you know, make a community build, you know. Once again, the fractals, use the technology that we have available to us and build. Give thanks.
yale ankles into
What you buy, Gungunio? What you buy, Rinio? Ashe. Ibashe Yaoku. Ibashe Babashona. Ibashe Yaoya. Ashe. Aibobo. Ibashe. Nasemada. Ibashe Papadamala Wedo. Papadamala Flambo. Ibashe Papa Sindio. Ibashe Baba Omila Elimi. We salute divine priority nations of our nation. We salute Baba Omila, first integration.
Okay. We'd like to welcome everybody here today. We especially would like to honor our elder, Baba Small, who has journeyed across the continent of Africa, many moons around. And we want to honor him and thank him for bringing his wealth of knowledge. He's a well-respected, internationally renowned historian. He's someone we need to protect. He's someone we need to, at home when our elders come from the field. Us young women, well, I'm not that young anymore. When we were young women, when they arrive, they're coming walking home to the village, right? And we come and we welcome them and we honor them. Just to let them know that we appreciate and we respect all that they give to the world and to community on our behalf because they represent us, right? So when they come back to us, we're supposed to nourish them, nurture them. Because some of our elders are in spaces that are so hostile, many of us wouldn't even be able to enter if we didn't have certain kind of spiritual, ancestral energy around us. He's a spiritual warrior. Our ancestors' bones, imagine the bones of our ancestors who survived, who didn't survive the Ma'afa. Their bones are there. Their bones, they call to us. And one of my healers used to say, it's one thing for them to call to us if they were on land. But they're calling from us from the bottom of the ocean. What does that mean for us? What does water mean for us as African people? Right? So we're going to talk about water a little bit. That's why we do libation, right? Often, maybe people know libation, we use alcohol, rum, gin, right? Medicine. Guys, sorry. So we use that because it's medicine. And when we do libations, we pour the alcohol because why? Alcohol is connected to fire, right? When we drink, we're looking for that fire to come inside us, right? So that's what the alcohol does. It sends the fire. And it's almost like it ignites itself in a spiritual realm. So much so that our ancestors, they smell it, they taste it, and the spark that it has in it is what then, kind of enhances our communication beyond these different realms. Yes? So when we don't have the spirits with us, we use water. Why? Because water is the most natural, most clean substance on our planet, right? And of course, water is what? We're made up at least, right? 90% water. So water is a purifier, right? When they talk about and the solar system, and the planets in particular. Yes? So, we want to pour the water, and we want to pour the water to ignite. Again, we want to ignite the energy that's carried, that's collected in this room today. Because this energy, all of it, it's like in this particular moment, we're a spiritual family. We're a spiritual organ. Doesn't matter what religion you belong to, what spiritual denomination, or if you're Orisha, or if you're whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because we're all people of spirit. And as African people, that's the biggest connection that we have. So, as somebody was talking just a little while ago, that these gatherings are about unifying us, right?
Yes.
Unifying us as much as possible.
Yes.
Through our ideas, through your creativity, through your spirit, through your voice, whatever it is. This is a time when the energy in the universe is rising.
That's right.
Nobody can control it, because that energy is us.
That's right.
It's our melanin ignited. We are the universe. We are that eternal darkness, right? And so as we gather in these moments, our darkness creates what? Light. So let us ignite this hotel, this city. What are we trying to achieve? What do we want people to leave here with? Right? What do we want people to maybe discover in this moment, in this space? When you think about that, call those ancestors. Which ancestors in your own family lineage would be the ones, if they were going to come to this event, who would have come today? That's the ancestor we want you to call. Bring them here, right? If it's a warrior, we need a warrior. If we need the business, bring them here, right? We need the philosophers, bring them. We need farmers, bring them here, okay? So we want to consciously, every time we gather, consciously libate. Yes? Before we close, I want you to turn to anybody close to you. Honor them, see them, love them, feel them, welcome them. Three people.
My name is 4 people. I can't skip that. So have you come on? My name is I appreciate you. And the man who wrote
I feel good. And I feel good that I'm going to ask you to stand again. Stop whining, you have feet. The fact that you have feet and you're whining hurts me. But I didn't ask you to dance. Sister Tiki Myrtle Clark is a historian. She's a mother. She brings wisdom. And you see, I'm careful not to say wisdom, because some of us are dumb and wise, conflicted. She brings wisdom to our dome. She is a historian. She is powerful. I could say more, but I don't want to. I want her musical energy to take you there. She's gonna sing the... Stand up, Bridget, yeah? Stand up, hold him up if you can, motherfucker. This is serious. The Black National Anthem, the African National Anthem. Could you give her a big round of applause? Everybody try to stand up for this one.
I'm going to be doing the entire anthem. Most of the time we only do the first verse. I'm going to do the third, the second, and the first in that order. I think it's important because the words follow our journey, and I think this is something that we should know. Are you able to hear me in the back?
Turn up the
Not much.
speakers.
Can you turn me up just a little bit? Thank you. God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, oh God, where we met Thee, lest our hearts, drunk from the wine of this world, we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, home and motherland. Stormy the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn and had died, and yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to this place for which our elders sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. But out from that gloomy past, till now we stand up at last, where the bright gleam of a bright star is cast. If the
Have a seat, please. Have a seat. I hope you realize that was a historical moment. When I tell you she's one of those voices that she's our voice. Can you give her another big hand? I also want to thank the Global African Communities Network and Brother Kofi as something announcement to get to before we start the lecture.
Greetings, everybody. Greetings, everybody. That's what I'm talking about. How you guys feeling? How's everybody feeling? You guys see what's up, right? We got Mama in the house. The big OG's here, finally. So this event was long in the plan. The timing was actually really, it was right on time. I know a lot of you might be familiar with Hidden Colors, the documentary series. By the way, we're in talks with Tariq right now. We want to see if we can get Hidden Colors 5 premiered here in Toronto. Keep your fingers crossed. But what it is that particular documentary series made Bubba Smalls, for those who don't know, who are part of this new generation, more popular. I'm sure you guys know him from Star Night TV, Keeping It Moving with Brothers and Sisters on 125th. So he's very visible with this young generation. That's why we felt that it was so critical to work with him and have him come to the city. But I want to say something very important that's really critical in terms of what we need to understand in regards to moving forward. We know that we have issues in getting space in vineyards. It's been a long, hard battle. I know you guys are aware that the GACN. Matter of fact, I want you guys to say it yourself. GACN. GACN. Say that again. GACN. GACN. That's an acronym which stands for the Global African Communities Network. Now what we are is we are a network. We're not an organization. We don't need no more organizations. Like another gang. We don't need another gang on the block. We have enough organizations. In January, the future got over 260 organizations. The problem is still the same. So we don't need another organization. What we need is a collective consciousness. That's really what we need. Develop a collective consciousness, right? No matter whether you're a Moor, whether you're a Hebrew, whether you're a Christian, whether you're from Ghana, whether you're from Jamaica, whether you're from Trinidad, that is all irrelevant in terms of this beast we are dealing with. They could care less. They don't put us in boxes. We're black and black. We're African, African. Don't matter. So let's stop with the foolishness and let's keep it moving. But what we have to understand is that we need to secure institutions. One of the things that the GACN is very critical with is that we need to develop our young people. That's right. Because I'm not going to be here too much longer. Most of y'all are going to be here next 30, 50 years. So what we need to do is start developing our young ones. Because I think Dr. Clark said it the best. The best way is to produce a sacrificial generation. We need to produce a sacrificial generation of young people that are going to carry on this fight. Because we're going to be here for a short time. Correct? All right. When you see Ngoma, when you see people like Quentin Rossetti, when you see all these young people, this is what we're about. But I want to just cut it short and say something that I have to say. We didn't do it yesterday, but we got to say it today. I want to show you 3 brothers, okay, that are doing it in the community. Brother Paul, please raise your hand. Look at the back there. You see Big Paul? There's another brother right there. His name is Mark. Mark, raise your hand so you can see who you need. All right, Ruben, raise your hand. Look at those faces. Those brothers own this hotel. All right? So in regards to space, don't feel no way. If you need a space, you only work. Those 3 brothers there made this possible. They made this event possible. All right? Make sure you get a clear picture of who they are. That's Brother Ruben, Paul, and Ruben, Paul, and Mark. To make sure, all right? Right? Hold on, let me get the mic. They might want to say something about it. Hold on a second. This brother Ruben here, he's a Pan-Africanist. And he used to do this work before we did this work. So maybe Ruben want to say a few words.
First of all, I don't want no liability. shoulders, they put themselves in a lot of debt for this place. And when they took it over, this place came with a history. Now, each one of us has a history, but trust me, all of us together combined don't have the history of this place. And that's a fact. But they believe not only in the business opportunity that these 197 rooms that we have, the 11,500 square feet of special event space, the full kitchen that can do catering, the restaurant, the a la carte restaurant. They not only believe in that as a business plan, but they also look at the community that we're in. Now me, I just come here. I just been here like 10 days. You know, I've known Mark since we were like about 23 years old. And Mark came to, we first met because I rented a place like this so I could give a talk about black advancement and development. And this young boy walked in a room with another brother, Peter Minot, and they were out already trying to affect people's lives, selling insurance so that they have something to rely on, and looking for ways to do business in the community. And we hit it off right away. And shortly thereafter, we got involved with a project that was created by Linrod Douglas and Millicent Redway, called the Black Expo 1993, Black Business Weekend Expo, where these other two black people, black couple actually, rented the entire Toronto Convention Center for 9 days. And they filled that convention center. We have vendors out here, and congratulations and God bless each and every one of you. But you should have seen the vendors they put in there that day. And the money they charged those people. But who got all that money?
Metro Convention.
It wasn't Millicent and Linrod. Now we flexed our young feathers there quite well. And from that we jumped off to many, many things. You know, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. From meeting the heavyweight champion of the world to going to the Million Man March to so many things. Mark and I went in different directions. These two went to school together in Jamaica. So we have a story, but they have a story. So, you know, just to wrap it up, because tonight's not about us. Tonight's about the opportunity of what black people can do together. Right. The honorable brother is here telling us in all his wisdom about what happened yesterday, how great we were yesterday. But we're also great today. And what we're trying to do is actually bring to action the immortal words of not only Marcus Mosiah Garvey, but all of our ancestors that fought and survived to be here and knew that we needed a community. We needed a place to be together. Because I'm telling you, I grew up in White New Brunswick where I was the only black person. People kept telling me, you gotta find yourself. I said, I gotta find myself. I gotta find my community. There you go. Wiser than myself, because this is what we're here for. We're trying to push out the remnants of the bad by bringing in the bounty of the good, of which you tonight represent some of the cream of the crop. And I thank you on behalf of the brothers for being here. And we love you for being here. Marcus Garvey said, he says, Africans, be as proud of yourselves today as our forefathers were in the days of old. For we have a beautiful history. And together we shall create a future which will astonish the world. My brothers, welcome and enjoy the night. Yeah. Thank you, guys. That's Ruben, yo.
Man, Ruben. You should have said it better, yo. Ruben, Mark, and Paul, thank you guys so much. Brother Sankofa.
All right. Listen, you guys been such like powerful people today. Are you ready for some lectures? I want to hear you. I feel like I'm somewhere else. Like I said, are you ready for the elder inside? They say that in somebody community so they can't kick us out if we make some noise. Make some noise! We want to ask the Elder Wickham, Where's Elder Wickham? Elder Wickham, may I speak? Thank you, Elder. When we start out in any crowd, you should always ask permission. Because when we get permission, then we can speak. The elder, one elder to another, said that the small children that's running around, adults take charge of the children. The elder said he doesn't want to come down and do it. Part of our discipline, we have to train the warriors. If you don't have certain discipline, you're not ready for battle. We're talking about the complete liberation of our people. We're not going to speak anymore till the elder says it's time to break, and we will break when the food comes. This elder has traveled over 1,000,000 years into the bosoms of Kemet and other places that we have not been yet. Because Kemet left the words written, but we know we're older than time. He has brought that knowledge, that wise, to share with us today. I spoke to a young man who said, can I ask this question of the elder? I said, please, when it's time, ask him anything. I might offend the elder. I said, what are you talking about, young man? Ask him anything. In our word, we don't say believe us, we say research. We say look it up. Because oftentimes some people tell you half truths and they're more dangerous than the people with lies. So I want you to put your hands together without further ado and give the elder a big round of applause as he makes his
Hotep, let's just get to work. Now, I'm not an entertainer. I don't sing, I don't dance very good anymore, my knee hurts. But I have some understanding of what's wrong with your minds. And I know what it's going to take to fix it, and you're not going to fix it being white people in blackface. Doesn't work. We got degrees, we got money, we got nice homes, we know how to take on the African names, we got the best afros, the best locks and hairdos, the best kentis, and nothing is changing, so something is not wrong with how you look or how you sound. Something is wrong with the mind that you're looking with. Information changes the mind. Ancestors aren't just some dead people you want to remember. And don't be saying yes, yes, like you understand me, but I know you don't understand me. Just listen. When I was here yesterday, I saw a lot of people. I can feel your spirit. I'm an old priest. It's what I do. I've been trained over 40 years to know me and you. I can feel you. You can pay me enough money to leave my home and come up here. I'm not here because anybody's giving me anything. I left my nice wife. We've been together 47 years. She is 64. I drive her to work every morning. I don't like for her to have to take a train for 1 hour because I'm not there. So if I leave her and my little grandbabies to come here with you, because I think it's important enough to do, not because I'm entertaining. You can't make me feel anything. I have done everything. At 71, I've been a soldier, I've been shot, I've been beaten, I've been thrown in jail, I've been held down with the cops with a gun to my head, I've been poisoned, I've been a whole bunch of stuff. There's nothing you can do for me. I've had the money, I've had the fame, I've had it all. I'm here because there's something wrong with me because there's something wrong with you. And what's wrong, Dr. Nobles called it a shattered consciousness and a fractured black identity. And if I was to stand everybody around this room right now and say, tell me what makes you African, if there's 300 or 400 in here, I'm going to get 300 or 400 different reasons, and all of them will be wrong. And so, I'm going to try my best like I did last night. I drowned you. I soaked you but black images of who you used to be. Because a lot of times we talk about Kemet and other things in Africa, and we don't even believe it in our hearts. And I know we don't believe it because most of us don't live it. And if you don't learn to understand that you are God having a human experience, you are never going to be free. I don't care what your religion is. Let me be straight. Because I didn't come here to play. I could stay home with my babies and play. You have to know who you really are if you're going to do what you really need to do. It doesn't matter what you call that thing, but you got to know that you are that thing. And all those games we playing, and God up here, and God down here, and God in here, and all this foolishness. And the name is Allah, and the name is Jehovah, and the name is Amen. You know, all that shit's crazy because look at our situation. Don't tell me about all these gods and the praying and the temple and the church and the mosque and the all this stuff. When from one end of the continent to the other, one end of the planet to the other, we are up the creek without an oar. In our pretty clothes. And our nice ways of praying and stuff. Stop faking. It doesn't work. Now let's find out why it doesn't work. And fix it. Otherwise you're going to die and leave your children in the same hell and your grandchildren in the same hell because you're not really serious enough to tell yourself something is wrong with me. And you got to fix it. Otherwise this will go on for perpetuity. That hell that you talk about in your religion, this is it. And you're going to stay in this fire, and you're going to burn, and you're going to bake, and you're going to roast until you understand the only divine you will ever meet is the one you see in the mirror. And it's only going to be as strong as you make it. I don't know whether y'all heard that. But we're going to touch on voodoo, because voodoo ain't killing no goat or chopping the head off of a chicken or dancing around a peristyle. Let me teach tonight. The rest of you priests and priestesses, sit down. It's me, right? Let me do my piece tonight. Because I've been too many places, done too many things, watched too much stuff. And I'm watching people playing games all over the African world. Right now in the place in the Congo called Kasai. 2 weeks ago they found 400 dead bodies buried in a mass grave of young brothers killed by the government of Kabila and their American allies, and nobody's saying nothing about it. The UN uncovered 35 graves a few months before in the same area of Congo. Nobody's saying nothing about it. And we sitting up here like we know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. You have no idea what's happening in Southern Sudan. You don't know what's going on. Nelson Mandela didn't free South Africa. It's as bad as it ever was. All there is a bunch of ANC Negroes overseeing apartheid for the crackers who didn't lose one thing.
That's right, that's right.
Don't play the game like we know something we don't know.
Right.
Because if you know it, you do it. And if you do it, you'll help change this world.
Yes.
And it might even cost some of you your lives to do it. But if you don't know what I'm going to try to tell you about voodoo, you think your life is so important that you do anything, including being a slave, to keep it? Because that's what we've done. That's not what this thing of being Africa is about. That's not what freedom is about. Everybody in this room will die. Whether you like to or not, whether you want to or not, and you know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. So we've caught up in the right paradigm of life and what life means, and we do anything to keep breathing and nothing to make the breathing worthwhile. We are at this juncture supposed to be about revolution. Revolution isn't what the Marxist white left taught you. that you gotta have a gun in your hand up in the air. That's not revolution. If you don't change you haven't evolved or evolved anything. I don't care how many people you kill and how many bombs you set off. We did that in Mozambique, didn't get any better. We did it in Guinea-Bissau, didn't get any better. We did it in Angola, it didn't get any better. So it was a revolution, because they never changed their minds. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They didn't change their minds. So if we're gonna really do this thing, you gotta decide that you're the one you have to change. You have to really change what's inside of you. You have to really change how you see this world. When you tell somebody I love you, it's got to be something more than an emotional trick. And the somebody you need to tell that to is yourself. So if we're going to really, if you really want to appreciate me, and I'm not an arrogant person at all. I think I'm one of the most humble dudes in the world. Because my humility is my strength. I do anything to serve my people. I mean anything. And I've done anything I could. And I appreciate being in this place because I met a man. I didn't meet all of the owners, but I did meet this brother named Mark. And I thought he was a little petty bourgeois brother with some curly hair running around. And then last night I talked to him and I realized I met an African man with a spiritual understanding of reality that makes sense. So don't misuse this place. And in order for this place to make it, don't just be a parasite on the place. Find out from them what you can do. That brought us our wisdom system. There was no man named Arubia. We don't know where the wisdom come from in terms of an individual, but our ancestors said this wisdom have come down to us and has been passed on. So this is some of what I'm going to talk about in my way tonight, the spirituality question. Because this voodoo thing, most people except for the few, I said, come on, I know one priestess here, we would say one mambo, and I met a couple of other priests and priestesses here. We may know, but most people don't know what it is. And it isn't what you think it is. In fact, voodoo, like Yoruba or any of our system, is nothing but common sense applied. Back up from knowledge of nature and cosmology. That's what we're talking about. So don't get caught up in terms and rituals and stuff people are doing. Even we doing too much of this killing and sacrificing and elbowing too much. If nothing more is happening than what is happening, something is wrong with what we're doing. We need to go and ask, are we doing all this stuff and nothing is changing in this community that's significant? Are we doing it wrong? Or should we be doing it at all? Right. Something's wrong. Right. And if you're not willing to change, something will stay wrong until you change it. That's not just for here. North America and the United States down there, the Caribbean and Canada, go all people in the same situation. And we got all this information. Because we're misusing it. We don't understand. Because we want to remain white people doing black things. Shit ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work, folks. You got to be willing to die as the white man, die as the white woman, and be born. You want the born again syndrome? Be born as an African human being. That's the born again. That whole concept in the Christian church, there's a time we use Christianity and make it work for us. Because we understood conceptually what spirituality and religion was. Then we lost our way. Because we decided we're going to be white people and then somehow still be black people too. Ain't gonna work like that. Left is left and right is right. Up is up and down is down. If you're up and down at the same time, you got a mental problem. And we got a big mental problem. So let's do this thing. Not just today, but let's do this thing. This thing is about self-transformation. Change you, and you can change the world. You don't change you, you're not going to be able to change nothing. change you. You know, dream again, remember again, imagine again, and you'll learn how to help others become free because you would have freed yourself. So see what my friend said? Our Father, if a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition. It has become a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated, like us. We sit around acting like we all right. We get shot down in the streets every day by some crazy people, and the best we can do is hold a march. I watched a father at the microphone. You killed my son. Kill the man who killed your son. And get the hell on that microphone. You know how the world looking at us and looking at that is insanity. That boy in Dallas was a God sent. He knew what he was doing. He understood what he had to do. Young man in New Orleans and in Baton Rouge was a God sent. They told you what you got to do. Somebody slapped you, slapped the stew out of it. Don't turn some other cheek. If you read in the Bible, it did not say turn the other cheek. You need to read the darn thing and learn what it says. You know, talk this stuff about you're a good Christian and Christ was passive and they were peaceful. When they roll up on him in the Garden of Gethsemane, Peter pulled out a sword and chopped the dude's ears off. Does that sound passive? That's right. Learn from what you're reading instead of having somebody else inform you of what was read. That Bible could be as useful a revolutionary document as any if you know how to use it. Ask Nat Turner. He used it. They may have lost that physical battle, but he set an example. But if you don't study, don't just call his name. Study the man. There was a reason why when he was on trial and he walked up there and they asked him who his leader was, and he said, Dessalines. Dessalines isn't just a name. Study the man. Who was he? What did he do in Haiti? He didn't hate white people. He said, I want atrocity to end. And basically to end it is to destroy those who commit it. And let it be. But I notice even those of us who say we're Africanists, we only love the people the enemy make it comfortable to love. There's a man named Minister Farrakhan. When's the last time somebody invited him up here to Canada? Huh? He's one of the greatest leaders we got. But the white man tell you don't like him. He tells you don't love Minister Farrakhan. And so we stopped on even the people in the movement. Talk about Malcolm. You don't even care about Malcolm. You don't even know Malcolm. You don't know who killed Malcolm. But we use that as an excuse. I'm just using the minister as one example. It's like Mr. Obama, who was the president of the United States. Reverend Wright was his minister. And he let the enemy make him denounce the man that gave him his very soul. I don't care what kind of pres he was. I took him on when he was president. He had me thrown under the meeting in Africa under arms. But that's cool. The point I'm making is let's get real about change. All information is supposed to do for you is to inform and instruct your consciousness so you can better and inform and instruct your own subconscious so you can help go through a process of changing yourself. Everybody in here tonight is going to get something a little different from this information. But that's something you get, you should grab it and use it to help transform you so you can help your children. Help your friends, help the rest of your family. Because at the end of the day, as Brother Mark was telling me, if you can't feed yourself, it doesn't matter what you know about Heru and Assad and Asar and Shango, and that shit don't mean nothing if you can't eat. And you can't pay your mortgage. And you can't pay your rent. But then, even if you can pay your rent and do your mortgage, and you don't know who you are, what you own, people could take it away from you and there's nothing you can do about it. Because who you are tell you who you bond with, and who you bond with tell you who you organize with, and that determines what your strength is going to be when your enemy come your way. That's why you seek knowledge. That's why you understand history. That's why you want to know about Osiris, not because there's something mystical about it. The concept of Osiris has nothing to do. All Osiris means is nature. That's why they paint him green. There's no green people. He's symbolic of the process through which nature goes through in its evolution every year. Isis isn't some woman with a baby. Isis is every woman. The story of Isis is a story about every and any woman. Horus isn't the son of God. Horus is every child, male or female, with the potentiality of divineness. That's what it is. We have to rebirth ourselves. We have to give birth to ourselves again. We can't give birth to ourselves if you don't have the right information. And even when I'm done here tonight, I can only give you my interpretation of the information. You got to take that information, you got to go to work and do your research, and you got to take it someplace else so that you can work you out. Your mate can't even work you out. You know? We think if I marry this one, if I fall in love with this one, I'll be fixed. You are the only one that can fix you. But you can't fix you being by yourself. You fix you by finding who else you can be with in order to build what you want to be. And so Carter G is telling us they're going to exterminate us if we don't wake up. You remember that Ebola thing in Africa? Just like it popped up, it disappeared, huh? Nobody explained to you how they solved it, did they? Just came in, killed tens of thousands, and bam, it's gone. And our beautiful nation, where I'm from, it showed up with some soldiers in Liberia, not doctors. That was weird. I haven't figured that one out yet. They've already put together medicine that kills just Africans. You sit around hoping it ain't gonna be you. You know? They've already put us in a situation in the communities we live where our diets that we think like Americans are soul food, that's poison food. But they popularized it so we thought, oh, that's our soul food. And we gobble down the poison to the high blood pressure, to the heart attack, to the cancer, to all the other things. Because we are out of our minds, because we are in their minds. If you are your killer mind, then you're going to kill you. That should be simple enough. If I'm the victim, but I'm in the mind and the mental space of the victimizer, then what am I going to do to myself? I'm going to victimize myself.
That's right. That's right. No more.
That's why history is important. It's not just a mundane thing to glorify a few heroes. It's for you to find that place where you fit psycho-spiritually. So, okay, Ocean Lady, do your thing. This book is a must. Get this book. It's difficult to find. Sometimes they put it up as much as $200 and $300. But if you keep going back online, you can find it for a reasonable price. Because the Bible is not our enemy document. It is one of our documents that our enemy have flipped on us. Right. But you are a part of it, even though it's, well, I'm not a Christian. I know, yes, you are. Because the only orientation you know is the Christian orientation. So you may not be in the church anymore. You may be in a shule or a temple, but you're still a Christian because the orientation and the value system and the notion of your humanity came from that orientation. If you're going to reorient that orientation, you need information.
Right.
And that information is your history. Go to the next one. Another good book is called The Revelation. Try to get this book as well. And all of the things that culminated in Egypt came from voodoo. Egypt is the result of what you call voodoo having a collection. The people who built Egypt came from Congo. They came from Sudan. They came from Uganda. They came from Nigeria. They came from Ghana. From the satellites, you can see the two rivers that ran from the Atlantic Ocean to the Chad Basin to the Nile. So we didn't just leave Egypt and went back when the invasions came. We left the West Africa, Central Africa, South Africa, East Africa, and we built Egypt because the ecology was so perfect, it was possible. But when the invasion came from the Hittites, the Hyksos, the Assyrians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, what do we do? If you get in trouble right now, Canada say, I'm done with you blacks. Get out. You're going back home. Where? I'm going to Jamaica. I'm going to here. I'm going home. That's what we did when Egypt fell apart. We went back home. We didn't run away. But if you don't know that was back home, somebody could keep you in confusion. That's why history is very important. It's very important. We left the rest of Africa and built Egypt, and when it fell apart, we took Egypt in our hearts and our minds and we went home with it. And when somebody put us on a boat and brought us to Jamaica and brought us to the United States and brought us to Haiti and brought us to Brazil, we took Egypt and everything else we had in Africa in our mind and in our hearts with us. We didn't stop being Africans when we got off of the slave ship, because we were never slaves. Somebody enslaved some people and forced them to work, but we never accept that as a condition. But now we are acting like we're slaves. Now we are not fighting back. That same thing you had in your mind, that same thing that built those pyramids is still a possibility in your mind. But you have to know the possibility is real. Right now you don't believe it's real. And that's why we can't build. That's why a little group of people can come out of Vietnam, have been in a war for almost 40 years, and can come in your community and 40 months do better than you economically. What is it they got that you don't have anymore? And you standing on the corner. I can't find no job. Make one. Everybody in here wear clothes. Everybody in here eat food. Everybody in here sleep someplace. And you pay somebody for it. Why don't you just start paying yourself for it? Something's wrong. And what's wrong is you've lost your memory. Your memory is your history. And if you don't get your memory back, you'll never be able to imagine yourself free. You'll only pretend you're imagining yourself to be free. Go to the next. The cursive script, this is the hieroglyph in cursive form. In a book called Phaedrus, you can find, it's hard to find the Phaedrus. Phaedrus, P-H-E-D-R-E-S, is written by a guy named Plato. And Plato, they don't talk about Plato. In the university, they teach us about the Republic, written by Aristotle, about Plato. Well, Plato wrote some stuff too. And the major document is called the Phaedrus. So if you read a book called The History of Mathematics by Kujari, chapter 1, paragraph 1, he quotes Plato. And Plato says, the Ethiopian, Ethiopian is not a black word, that's a Greek word for black people, right? They were identifying us. And so he says the Ethiopian gave to the world all of the sciences. And then he begins to mention them. He says medicine. He says arithmetic. He says geometry. Then he says the greatest science of all. This is a big man. This is Plato. Not Brother Small. He said the greatest science of all they give to the world is the science of writing itself. There. And if you read a man by the name of Martin Burnell, he writes 2 volumes on on language. It's called Black and Vina. And he shows you that all the language of Europe and Asia emanates out of this language system. And this language system emanates out of Sudan and the Congo. So you've got to study history. There's no way around restoring your mental health unless you know your history. No way around. Next. Again, yesterday I saw my Grand Temple. I just love this temple. This thing looks so solid. It's been there for 6,000, 7,000, maybe 10,000 years. So that's deep. See, there's no Greek yet, there's no Rome yet, there's no Ionic, there's no Doric, none of that exists yet your ancestors built this thing that's still there today in Abydos, in Egypt. So it's important to understand, in order to build this, you need geometry, trigonometry, algebra, you need all of those things, plus a whole bunch of other skills that we call scientific today. Go to next. And our great Grand Temple, my little light don't know how to play with me. Kofi, this is your light. Oh, okay. All right, it's nothing, but you can see this extraordinary temple that went for blocks. This is the University of Apet-Silk. And it taught, guess what it taught in there? When you go into the front, go to the next one. When you walk through those doors, as you go through the different sections, what you'll see is each one is dedicated to one of the 7 liberal arts. So you'll know when you're in the area that's dealing with music, you know when you're in the area that deals with geometry, you know when you're in the area that deals with the different aspects of the 7 liberal arts. The 7 liberal arts was invented by your ancestors as tools to bring the God in you out. I was telling somebody that the word eduso, the word we get education from, means to bring something inside of you out. But you must be given the tools to do that. The 7 liberal arts is the primary tool the world used in order to reach a PhD. Those are the tools your ancestors gave you to bring the God in you out, to bring the divine in you out. But you're afraid to say it because we're in a culture to say, God's up here and you some servant down here. That's not African. That's not African. That's not what our culture says. And so we got to deal with it the way it's really at. Next one. Don't get nervous, Ocean Lily. I know you, you know, from Benin State. You from Benin State? You still deal with the African gods?
Only one.
All right, all right. This is one of the inner sanctum temples within that temple. And those of us who are into the Masonic skills, this is where you would go to get your higher degrees. You can put the Parthenon in there 3 or 4 times. Next one. This lady, Hatshepsut, was a female pharaoh. And I just want to show you now, they were all black. Go to the next one. This is her tomb. An extraordinary architectural feat for that day to see something like this being built back in 1500 BC. Go to next. This lady, she's the great Queen Tai, the wife of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, and the mother of the Pharaoh Akhenaten. Go to the next. So you can see this is an African woman. This particular sculpture is in the museum in Berlin, along with that white sculpture of her daughter-in-law, Nefertiti, which is not a sculpture of Nefertiti at all. Go to the next one. This is Queen Tai again as a young girl. You can see she's a young African lady with her dreadlocks. Go to the next one. This is her son, Akhenaten. They said his mouth was like that and his nose was like that because he had some sort of disease. So that they couldn't hide it that because he had built this extraordinary city called Tel El Amarna. And they referred to him as being the first monotheist before Moses, but that's not true. Africans were always monotheists. But we have a dual system. We deal with the multiple qualities of God, and we deal with God itself. And so they get confused with that because they don't understand how yin and yang works, except if Asians are doing yin and yang, it's cool. When we're doing it, there's something wrong with it. Go to the next. This is another photo. This is the photo of Nefertiti. Now look at Nefertiti as it's sculpted on the walls in Africa. Does that look like the thing in the museum in Europe? No. But this is on the walls in Africa where there's many, many more just like this one. Go to the next one. Here's another one of Nefertiti. looking like any African woman. Why isn't this the Nefertiti we are shown? Except the forgery is sticking in all the history books for the children to see that forgery. And this is Akhenaten. Go to the next. This is Akhenaten. They never talk about this young man. King Tut had a brother, an older brother, who served for 3 years before him. Semkara, who died early also. Go to the next. And then his sister, Makitatat. This is the sister with her locks of King Tut, the daughter of Nefertiti and Akhenaten, the granddaughter of Queen Tai. I'm just showing this one family, one black family, ruling family. Go to the next. This is the little boy we know more about, King Tut. Go to the next. This is another shot of King Tut. So you can clearly see it's a young African child. Go to the next. This is King Tut and his wife. And they had white paint, brown paint, and other that they wanted to make him white. But they didn't. Go to the next. This is I love this one, because this is King Tut in his Masonic apron with his mace in his hands. Oh, and if you look, you'll see his jewels on his neck. Go to the next. I just want to take everything back. People stole our stuff. Let's take it all back. You know, this is Pharaoh Seti with his beautiful locks. He looked like Bob Marley the way his locks looking up there. And this is Pharaoh of Egypt. So they had white paint, but they painted him brown and painted his hair black because they were being realistic. Go to the next. This is the great Ramses. And clearly you can see this young man is a black man. Go to the next. And of course, it's my favorite part here because I got a grandson named after him. This brother's Taharqa. You know, he's mentioned in the Bible. You don't get much blacker than that. So how are they going to create this white world? So you got to claim Egypt if you're going to claim all the stuff in Western civilization. You got to claim the foundation. It's important. Go to the next. These are soldiers. These are in the Museum in Cairo. These are little sculpted statues of the soldiers in the Egyptian army. Go to the next. Now, this is Osiris. You don't get too much blacker than